I guess she's a viewer because she reached out on Twitter. She wrote, "Hey, Jimmy Kimmel, since most of your show content is your nonstop lies about me, why don't you have me on your show? I'll bring you a copy of my book, and we can chat about what needs to happen to save America." I guess I'm a Hollywood libtard that's part of the celebrity pedophile Satan club until she has a book to promote. Then I'd love to swing by. This woman, I want to remind you something. Where is Will Smith when you need him? And the audience laughed, and then so she saw it. And she decided she was going to try to get some political mileage out of this. This is what she does instead of working. She tweets. After she saw it, she tweeted, "ABC contacts my employer. This threat of violence against me by Jimmy Kimmel has been filed with the Capitol Police." She called the police and reported this.
If you want the perfect case study in how a late-night joke can detonate a week of political theater, look no further than the long, messy feud between Jimmy Kimmel and Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's part culture war, part civics lesson, and part masterclass in how a single punchline can expose a whole ecosystem of hypocrisy, performative outrage, and conspiracy-first politics. Tonight, we're walking through the timeline, because this story isn't just about a comedian teasing a politician. It's about the difference between speech and threats.
Not only did she call the police, called the same police she voted against giving a Congressional Gold Medal to for defending our Capitol against the insurrection. She helped incite on January 6th. That's who she called, the people she wanted to defund. It's amazing how quickly you can go from these liberals who can't see anything anymore to, "What'd you say? I'm calling the cops."
It really began to crystallize in early 2022 when Greene went viral for mashing up the Gestapo with chilled soup. Gazpacho police was a slip that would have been a one-day meme in a normal timeline. Kimmel turned it into an emblem of the Congresswoman's greatest hits, confusing history, brandishing culture war buzzwords, and then accusing anyone who laughs of endangering her. He built a monologue around it, yes, riffing on soup jokes, but he also put context around why she keeps becoming late-night fodder.
The crazy thing is, for the last 2 years, Republicans were the ones screaming for these Epstein files, and one of them still is and doesn't care what the rest of the party has to say about it.
There is no amount of pressure they can put on me to force me to step in line on that, so to speak.
You know things in Washington are broken when Marjorie Taylor Greene is the lone voice of reason on the Republican side. I mean, what is going on? First healthcare and now this. Did she get a visit from 3 ghosts?
I've always been an unapologetic Trump supporter. I was one of the very few that stood with him after January 6th. Fought for him all over the country and helped him get reelected. Spent millions of dollars out of my own campaign to do that. And I've also supported many great Republicans getting elected as well. But I'm not a, let's see, what's the right way to say it? I'm not a slave.
No, that wasn't the right way to say it. That was the wrong way to say it. Next time, maybe try doormat. I think it would work better.
The Jewish space lasers Facebook post, the constant drumbeat of conspiratorial claims, and the habit of throwing gasoline on the internet and then feigning shock at the fire. The spark that set off a full-blown conflagration came that April after Greene attacked then Supreme Court nominee Ketanji Brown Jackson with smears that had already been debunked. Kimmel responded with a line that was obviously a joke. "Where's Will Smith when you really need him?" A topical reference to the Oscars slap that every late-night host, podcast, and group chat was still chewing over.
After processing the fact that someone called the police on me, believe it or not, this has never happened to me in my life. I tweeted back, I wrote, "Officer, I'd like to report a joke." A lot of people liked it, they hit like, which triggered her, I guess, the sweet little snowflake, because she tweeted again.
Greene did something unprecedented. She publicly announced she had reported Kimmel to the U.S. Capitol Police for threatening her. Think about that. A member of Congress ran to law enforcement over a quip. Kimmel's response the next night, "Officer, I'd like to report a joke," landed because it highlighted something deeper than one feud. If we start calling jokes crimes, only the most powerful people get to decide who's allowed to laugh. Greene doubled down, releasing voicemails with violent language that any decent person would condemn.
This afternoon, she wrote, "You weren't joking. You hide your misogyny and your racism behind your jokes on ABC. This was a dog whistle to the violent left to assault me or worse, and you're misspelled your, of course, already inspiring fantasies of violence against me. How many new death threats will I get that are your fans? Well, that's nice. She thinks I have fans. I guess that's good. But now listen, not only don't I condone death or any kind of threats against anyone, especially since I get dozens of them a week myself from the sickos who align with you.
But she tried to turn the existence of those threats into an indictment of Kimmel's monologue, as though a comedian's wordplay, not years of her own apocalyptic rhetoric, was the driver of escalation. Kimmel took that on too. He's not a politician, but he's been around politics long enough to recognize when someone wants the power to punch without the accountability of being punched back. The bigger question for viewers, and I want to hear your thoughts in the comments, is where you draw the line. Do you think a joke about a public official, however pointed, should ever be policed by the government? Or do you see a difference between tasteless humor and an actual threat that the law should recognize?
I also find it very rich that a person who did this in her campaign ad is suddenly whining about fantasies of violence. How does this even compute? This woman, you may remember, she's the one who endorsed fringe conspiracy theories and repeatedly indicated support for executing prominent Democratic politicians. Now she's dialing 911 because she got made fun of. She's a snowflake and a sociopath at the same time. A snowciopath, as we call it from now on.
If you're new here, quick reminder, hit subscribe and tap the like button so more people see fact-based breakdowns instead of rage bait. And while you're at it, drop your zip code without the last 2 digits and tell me, is your local representative more likely to laugh this stuff off or file a complaint about it? The feud didn't end with the police report. It metastasized, as these things do, into a running Kimmel motif. Greene's tweets and cable hits became recurring segments.
The reason the Democrats refuse to sign this budget agreement is because it will cause millions of Americans to lose their health care. Republicans deny this. They say it won't hurt anyone at all. And if you had any doubt that they were lying before, consider this shocking post from the gentlewoman from Georgia who wrote, "I'm not a fan of Obamacare, but I'm going to go against everyone on this issue because when the tax credits expire this year, my own adult children's insurance premiums for 2026 are going to double, along with all the wonderful families and hardworking people in my district. No, I'm not towing the party line on this or playing loyalty games." And I know this sounds crazy, but I will say it for the second time in a month. Marjorie Taylor Greene is right.
When she heckled President Biden during the State of the Union in that dramatic white faux fur coat, Kimmel roasted the look and the moment, not just to score a fashion zing, but to underline the way chaos and clout chasing had replaced basic decorum. Late-night comedy has always skewered Sotus, Bush, Obama, Trump, Biden. But Greene's heckling gave Kimmel a clean contrast. You can disagree with a president on policy without turning a constitutional ceremony into professional wrestling.
At the White House today, President Biden gave a speech forcefully condemning the evil attacks on Israel by Hamas. He confirmed that Americans are among those taken hostage, and at least 14 Americans were killed. He has vowed to do everything in his power to bring the Americans home safely, while the Magalorian is on a full all-caps alert, writing, "I kept Israel safe. Nobody else will, nobody else can, and I know all of the players." Well, then strap on some Kevlar and get over there, McRib Rambo. It's time for you to... Trump would like us to believe that his mere presence would have kept Hamas out of Israel and Russia out of Ukraine. This is from a guy who couldn't even keep Kanye out of Mar-a-Lago. But it's pretty clear that at this point, he's got no connection with reality at all. All he can see is perfect phone calls and unfair witch hunts, elections he won, wars he would have prevented. You know, we could right now build a little Oval Office in a mental institution and put him in there.
Then came the pop culture collision that almost wrote its own monologue, Taylor Swift. As Greene climbed aboard the internet rumor that Swift is some kind of government psyop designed to hypnotize football fans into voting blue, Kimmel went right at the sheer absurdity of it. Late night thrives on what's patently ridiculous, and the Pentagon is beaming Taylor Swift into your brain through Travis Kelce qualifies. The bigger idea wasn't just the laugh, it was showing how performative paranoia substitutes for policy.
The same woman who followed and shouted at a high school student who just survived a mass shooting is very upset. She told Sean Hannity that someone ruined her perfectly good bloomin' onion.
Well, last night I was having dinner with 2 members of my staff, and we were preparing for committee hearings today. And then we were approached. A woman came over to my table and started verbally attacking me, calling me all kinds of names.
You dumb, stupid, ridiculous, hot dog face!
And then another member of her party started screaming, F you, Marjorie,
F you,
as
Marjorie!
loud as he possibly could, over and over and over again, inside this restaurant.
F you, Marjorie! F you!
We want our own safe space, and we deserve it.
And I want to ask you directly, when you hear that kind of claim from an elected official, do you feel entertained, alarmed, or exhausted? Tell me why, especially if you've changed your mind over time. Lest anyone think this is all cotton candy, Kimmel's critiques have repeatedly intersected with very real stakes. When Greene posted that President Biden was going to assassinate President Trump, he didn't treat that like another silly meme. He treated it as a line-crossing moment.
All we have is a birthday card, so I'm gonna go ahead and seal this up. I would like you know who to bring this to, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Get this to Gotham City at once, and don't hesitate.
All right.
To the Cape Crusader to handle. And in the meantime, I'll keep my Jewish space laser set to gazpacho in case. And by the way, it wasn't just Marjorie who's all fired up. I got mean tweets from Diamond and Silk, which hurts because, you know, I'm a big fan. And even the Venn molester Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz weighed in on this. He wrote, note to Jimmy Kimmel, not only would Marjorie Taylor Greene's husband make quick work of you, but Rep. MTG herself would make quick work of you. Kimmel would not last too long if he were interested in engaging in unprovoked, terrible violence against this Congresswoman.
The amplification of baseless, incendiary language with potentially dangerous downstream effects. You can see a through line in his approach. He'll go goofy for the cold open, but when the subject is threat or assassination or civil war, he turns serious, reminding viewers that words aren't just ratings oxygen, they can be accelerants. What makes this feud unique among the usual host via's politician spats is Greene's insistence that satire itself is harm. That stance fails the most basic First Amendment test.
So the Green Goblin had to testify under oath for almost 4 hours where she played even dumber than she actually is.
In fact, you think that Speaker Pelosi is a traitor to the country, right?
I'm not answering that question. It's speculation. It's hypothetical.
You've said that, haven't you, Ms. Greene, that she's a traitor to the country?
No, I haven't said that.
Okay. Put up Plaintiff's Exhibit 5, please.
Oh, no, wait.
Yes, I may have spray painted that on her car. I didn't realize there would be exhibits. Is this a court or a museum? She even had a hard time remembering a line she lifted from a movie.
ABC can decide not to book a guest, a brand can decide not to advertise. That's the messy, sometimes annoying marketplace. But when a government official targets speech or calls cops over a joke, that's a different category, one the courts have had no trouble swatting down for decades. You don't need a law degree to get this. In free countries, citizens get to joke about leaders. In unfree countries, leaders get to jail citizens for jokes. Which lane we choose is on all of us. At the same time, Kimmel's material works because it keeps receipts.
The last thing you say in the video is, we aren't a people that are going to go quietly into the night. Do you recall that part?
Yes.
Okay. Now, that phrase, we aren't a people that are going to go quietly into the night, that's not something that you came up with on your own, is it?
I have no idea what you mean.
Well, that's something that you borrowed from a movie script, right?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. You borrowed that line from the movie Independence Day, right?
No.
Wow. Let's go to the videotape as well.
No, well, and then they did. Of course she quoted Independence Day. To her, that's a history book. That's a...
When he revisits Gazpacho Police, he pairs the punchline with the actual clip. When he riffs on space lasers, he cites the original post. When he mocks the Sotu coat, he plays the heckle in full. When he addresses the PSYOP stuff, he doesn't strawman it, he quotes it. That's a useful line for anyone who makes or consumes political content today. Be as sarcastic as you want, but build the joke on something verifiable. If you've noticed, our channel does the same. Everything you're hearing tonight can be tracked to public clips, mainstream write-ups, and outlets that keep their corrections box open.
One of the most controversial members of Congress, Republican Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia, usually draws the ire of Democrats, but now she's speaking out against some in her own party and coming out in favor of what Democrats demand to reopen the government, an extension of enhanced health care subsidies.
Congresswoman Greene, thank you for joining us here in the Situation Room. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start there. Let's start with the shutdown. So you voted for the short-term funding bill, but now you're talking about this health care issue. Help us better understand. Why now?
Well, actually, this is something I talked about when I first ran for Congress in 2020, because I grew up in a construction company family. Bought that company after college and retired my parents. And after the ACA was passed,
The Affordable Care Act.
yes, the Affordable Care Act, our family's health insurance premium went from $800 a month to $2,400 a month. So I've known about this as a major problem for a long time. It's not just ACA recipients whose premiums are going to skyrocket very soon. It has been a disaster for many Americans across the board. And cost of living is so high now. Many of my constituents, many of my friends, and even my own children are finding health insurance to be extremely unaffordable and something that they are having to go without. So I think this is an incredibly important issue. I think it is a crisis. I don't think it's something to wear political party team jerseys on. I think it's something that we have to address and fix.
And it's very personal for you.
If you want a source list, say the word in the comments and I'll pin one. There's also the theatrical irony that undergirds this whole saga. Greene herself praised the Oscars slap at the time as an alpha male move, then tried to criminalize a Will Smith joke when she was the butt of it. She rails against snowflakes, then melts at a punchline. She claims to be for small government, then invites the police into a punchline dispute. That's why Kimmel's "Officer, I'd like to report a joke" landed so hard, it condensed all that contradiction into an 8-word bumper sticker.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell us what led up to that? Or is there anything that we didn't see that precipitated that?
No, it's just that Marjorie is a little slow. Yeah. No. Yeah. So, what most people don't know is that on this particular day, we were supposed to have our hearing at 11 a.m.
Okay.
Instead, it wasn't until 8 p.m. They were trying to compete with you for ratings, I guess.
Why?
C-SPAN.
Why was
C-SPAN trying to get it up. But nevertheless, what it was is that they had gone to New York because they wanted to be by Trump's side as he was in trial.
So you had to wait for that?
So we had to wait for them to come back.
Oh.
So then, and the hearing was supposed to be about the AG, right? So we're supposed to be talking about AG Merrick Garland. And she starts talking about Judge Merchan. So now I'm upset because it's already late at night. I've been here all day, ready to work. Y'all aren't here. And you're still talking about that failed trial. So I had to ask her if she understood because she's not the brightest.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And ultimately, she, just
She attacked
decided,
you
she
personally.
Did. She did.
Yeah, she started it.
She did.
Did you have that phrase? What was it again? Bleach blonde.
Bad built.
Bad built.
Butch body.
Butch body.
That's right.
Was that? It's so good. Was that floating around in your head before this?
No. No.
Holy cow! That just came out?
Not really. So, when you clip it up, it looked like it was really fast, but it wasn't. There was a lot of time that passed.
Okay.
So they were supposed to either kick her out or she was supposed to apologize. And ultimately, Comer, who y'all saw was very confused.
Yeah. He seems perpetually confused.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He then also revealed in that hearing that he has 2 hearing aids. So he was like, if y'all didn't realize I got 2 hearing aids, I can't hear.
That's convenient.
So we were like, so we're having a hearing about the fact that you don't have the audio recordings from the AG. Got it. Because you can't hear him anyway. So what do you need it for? But nevertheless.
If you're still watching, you probably care about the craft as much as the content. Kimmel deploys a specific structure here. Start with the viral Greene moment. Loop in the context and prior claims. Play the clip so the audience can see it. Then build the laugh from the documented reality, not a rumor. That's the opposite of the conspiracy first model, and it's why these bits tend to have shelf life. They're funny the night of, and they also function as a mini archive for anyone who missed the original story. Let's talk consequences, because there are some.
I certainly support the president, but I'm not, what would be the right way to say it? I'm not some sort of blind slave to the president, and I don't think anyone should be. I serve in Congress. We are a separate branch of the government, and I'm not elected by the president. I'm not elected by anyone that works in the White House. I'm elected by my district. That's who I work for. And I got elected without the president's endorsement, and you know, I think that has served me really well. So I get to be independent as a Republican, and I think what helps him the most is when he has people that are willing to be honest with him and not just tell him what they think he wants to hear.
I voted for Daddy because I thought he was going to bring coal jobs back to our Wi-Fi router. Ain't no one going to take my guns or my ability to Google is the earth flat at 3 a.m.
Greene's approach, escalate then cry foul, guarantees more attention in the short term, but it also invites a harder, smarter scrutiny. Every time she files a complaint over a joke, she makes it easier for late night to frame her as a politician who wants the perks of power without the scrutiny it requires. Every time she amplifies a bizarre theory, she gives satirists a clip that undercuts her claims of seriousness. Every time she invokes violence in her own rhetoric, she makes it harder to sell the idea that the threat. Do you think this trade-off helps her with her base, even if it hurts her nationally? Or do you think we've reached the point where the spectacle is the point and policy is beside it? I'd really like to hear from viewers outside the coasts on this one. There's a broader takeaway for all of us who live online. You don't have to love Jimmy Kimmel or any late night host to see the principle at stake. If you cheer when a joke you hate gets reported to the police, you're applauding a tool you won't control tomorrow.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, last week she was complaining about being required to wear a mask on the floor of the House, and in an interview compared it to the victims of Nazi Germany having to wear yellow stars during the Holocaust. And of course, most of her fellow Republicans in Congress said nothing about it until I guess they got some pressure from the Jewish community that they couldn't ignore anymore. And today, 5 days later, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell said that her comments were reprehensible, and House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy put out a statement. He wrote, "Marjorie is wrong, and her intentional decision to compare the horrors of the Holocaust with wearing masks is appalling. The Holocaust is the greatest atrocity committed in history. The fact that this needs to be stated today is deeply troubling." Okay, good start. At a time when the Jewish people face increased violence and threats, anti-Semitism is on the rise in the Democrat Party and is completely ignored by Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Oh, you were so close. You couldn't help yourself, though, could you? You had to GOP in the pool and bring it back to Nancy Pelosi. This Marjorie Taylor Greene seems to be very focused on Nazis. Someone dug this up. This is from June of last year. She was speaking at a city council meeting and made a strong defense of statues honoring both Hitler and Satan.
We're seeing situations where Christopher Columbus, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, all kinds of statues are being attacked. And it seems to be just an effort to take down history. And whether I see a statue that may be something that I would fully disagree with, like Adolf Hitler, maybe a statue of Satan himself, I would not want to say take it down. But again, it's so that I could tell my children and teach others about who these people are, what they did, and what they may be about.
Right, that's the way to learn about history. You build a statue and you take your children to it. That's how I learned about Rocky Balboa. It's a teaching moment. Someone should build a statue of Satan right outside her house. That way she can explain to her kids who mommy is. And she's one of the few people that makes you think twice about the First Amendment.
Today it's their joke, tomorrow it's yours. A democracy without thick skin becomes an autocracy with thin jokes. And if you want fewer harsh jokes about elected officials, the best route isn't enforcement. It's better behavior from those officials. Be serious, be factual, stop courting nonsense, and the punchlines soften all by themselves.
She called the police on me for a joke, and now she wants to be a guest on the show. Well, I have to admit, part of me wants to invite her here so I can let her wait for an hour down in the green room doing power squats and then bump her. But even just to screw with Matt Damon, it would be fun, but I also don't want rabies. So her book, by the way, I was interested in how her book was selling, so I looked on Amazon, and this is real. It's ranked number 9,846. It's ranked number 65 in the women's biography category, which puts it 50 places behind a book written by Kanye's ex-girlfriend, 51 places behind Michelle Obama's book from 2018, 54 places behind Michelle Obama's other book, and 60 places behind Paris Hilton's Paris the Memoir. Marjorie Taylor Greene's book is such a bomb, I might have to report it to the Capitol Police.
One last word on standards, because we live in an age that tries to erase them. Everything we discussed tonight is grounded in public, verifiable sources, broadcast clips, mainstream reporting, and on-the-record posts. This isn't vibes or hearsay, it's documented. If you're ever unsure, ask. I'll happily link the raw material so you can see it unedited in context. That's how we keep the conversation honest, even when it's heated, and it's why, even when the jokes sting, they stand up. Thanks for watching. If you learned something or just enjoyed the ride, hit like so this reaches more people and share it with that one friend who still thinks a punchline is a police matter. And in the comments, tell me this. If you could give one piece of advice to a public official who can't take a joke, what would it be? I'm betting we'll get 100 different answers. And I'm looking forward to reading everyone.